Namaste everyone, and welcome to another Friday afternoon QiGong session. So without further ado, we'll carry on with our 5-element flow. So find yourself somewhere comfortable, perhaps take off any jewellery, which has reminded me about my watch. Find yourself some comfortable clothing, and we'll start with our usual routine. So just whether you're seated or standing, just connecting to your body, connecting to your breath. In fact, today we'll start with tapping, which is a great way to just wake up the body a little bit and also to bring some body awareness, to release any tension or tightness. Going over a bit extra if there's any areas you notice particularly tense or tight, down the inside and up the outside. Them shoulders a nice tap, chest, and do a little gentle knocking around the abdomen, find what feels good. I tend to straight up the right and down the left because it follows the intestines. And you can do the hips, but you can also come around to the lower back either side, but never directly on the spine. Just giving it a bit of a tap to the lower back, kidney points, and also just releasing any tension or tightness that might have accrued down the spine, down the lower back, and down the glutes, back to the legs, back to the knees, feet, shins, inner leg, and again on the hips, lower back. And I do this with a cupped palm right the way down to the feet, around the feet, inner legs, and you can also, if you're standing, nice grounding movement again. Nice way of opening the hips up and waking up the lower body. So now that we're a little bit warmer, let's warm up our wrists in our usual figure of 8. Like tracing a figure of 8 in front of us, and the opposite way. Really flex them fingers and them wrists. Landing in this moment, noticing how you're feeling. The elbows go. So we're just moving, the elbows stay stable, and we're moving around that. Just opening up the elbow joint. Relaxing the shoulders down. As we come to do some nice shoulder rolls again. Back to the palms forward, around, and the backs end up facing away from us. So it's the top of the shoulder that leads the hands. The movement comes from the top and the rest of the arms follow. And the opposite way. And then a couple of times back to just reset. Lovely. Just do owl spreads its feather, stork spreads its feathers. Really loosen up them shoulders, so it's like scooping water. And imagine dispersing it to either side and let the shoulders drop down. And it's kind of like in our Wuji stance where we lift in the crown, tuck the chin slightly and let the shoulder blades melt down the back body. Imagine the fingertips pulled down by gravity again. Scoop the water, pushing it out to the sides, crown lifts. Imagine a sinking of the tailbone, sinking of the palms. And we're not forcing the movement, we're letting gravity do the work. Final time, scoop that water. Really let them shoulder blades melt down the back body. And imagining the fingertips pulled down to the floor by gravity. And imagining a line of opposition between the crown and the opposite fingers to add some stability and support through the neck. Always listen to your own body with the neck and the spine. Find what feels good in your body. I find this one releases tension and tightness as I'm imagining a line pushing opposite from the crown to the tips of those fingers. Releasing the lines of tension at the top of the shoulders, side of the neck. And then just a roll to reset. So that's knock on the door of life, wake things up a bit. So this one again, we're turning from that inner core point just letting the arms follow along, and only when you're ready, if you feel so, you can look behind you if it feels good, and you can let the hands bang gently on the lower back, never directly on the spine, just either side, so you can see my hands are banging each arm. The right arm goes to the left side, and the left goes to the right side, just to open up that lower back. Relaxing the shoulders and the arms. You can do this with your torso stationary as well, so we get a twist and an opening in the side body. And then slowing it down, slowing it down, slowing it down. So let's wake up the whole body with some Qi silk reeling. So this is the one where we just imagine the wave going right the way through from the feet through the whole body. So as the hips go back, chest forward. So hips forward, chest back, chest forward, hips back. So it's like a wave's coming right the way from the soles of the feet, rolling all the way up the body. And I do this with the breath. As slow and as gentle, as supple as feels good for you. If you're seated, focusing on them sit bones, and you can imagine this wave rolling up your whole body. Even when seated, imagine that wave coming right the way up from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. Really opening the front and the back of the spine. And we'll do a little bit more of the spine as we do some spinal cord breathing. This one a nice one for opening the chest, the shoulders, and also to activate our parasympathetic system, our rest digest phase. Switching us off like a switch, flicking off the fight flight mode that can be a dominant pattern in today's world, full of stimulations and demands, in work, in life, in family. Give yourself this time to breathe, to relax, to restore. Really let the back body open up. Breathing nice and deep to open. If it feels comfortable, you can bring the elbows together at the front. So this is a lovely way to transition after work, or before bed, before relaxing, just to calm the system a bit. Okay, so let's dog wags its tail, which is just imagining our reptilian spine, imagining the spine going from side to side, just opening up the side vertebrae with a lift in the crown. You can do this one in a wide-legged stance if you feel the need for a bit more grounding and opening the hips. And those that are seated or standing, find what feels good, can just from side to side, keeping a little bit of a lift between the crown. We imagine this opposition between the crown of the head and the tailbone. So let's do our tray of teacups to open up the spiraling, and then we can start to retransition into our shaking and our postures, and we're going to do the last 3 of the routine like we did last week. So we've got our teacup. You can see my teacup, one palm facing up, doesn't matter which, just remember, so you can change arms. Palm comes, sweeps to the side, behind, fingers point away, fingers point behind, palm facing upright, palm turns, so leading from the little finger through, pushes behind, around and to the side. And when you're ready, you can add in a hip movement, so the fingertips come in, behind, around, and you'll notice that when the arm comes into this point, we've got a nice gap, so the hips have moved to the side, and as the hips go forward, the arm goes forward and up. and imagine that spiraling going right the way through the whole body. From the soles of the feet, even if you're seated, to the crown of the head. One more time. And the opposite way, so comes over the head, palm stays upright as if we're holding a tray of tea in our hand. For this one, opening the wrist, the side body, and bringing that natural spiral movement in, just like the plants grow. So again, fingertip leads in, behind, around, above. In, behind, around, above. When you're ready, adding the hips, remembering we've got that gap for the arm to open up through. And the opposite way. Really imagining that spiraling going through the whole body. The bones, the cells, everything spiraling. And just settle that in a little bit with some gentle hip rotations. Good. So just ground a little bit into the lower body. Those seated, you can just gently rub your legs. For those that are standing, you can go into your mabu, which, if you remember, we've talked about, where we shimmy our toes out, then our heels straighten, then our toes straighten. So it's about twice shoulder width, but I tend to shimmy and that sets me up. So from this position, we can just focusing on the legs. So if you're not used to movements like this as well, you can go as low or as shallow as feels good. Not taking the impact on the knees to help offset that. You can imagine your spine can shift forward slightly, and you can also imagine the tailbones gently dipping. So imagine the dipping of the movement, imagine that movement coming from the tailbone, and then there's less focus, less emphasis on the knees. So I tend to focus on rubbing my thighs, warming my lower legs. Quite an invigorating one for the mornings, or one great if you've been quite up in the head, to bring you back down to earth and into the body. So just some gentle circles with the knees. Hinging forwards and back. And that lovely final one where we really flex them toes and the ankles. And we're just giving full range of motion, full flexibility to each of the joints, letting them move in all the ways, because if we're always cycling or doing the same repetitive movements, we can lose some aspects of mobility if we're not using it regularly. So now hopefully we're feeling more settled, more open, and so we're going to go into our shake the tree, and once we've done that, we'll go into our standing postures, and then again final flows. So I'll talk us through each as we go. So let's just start with this gentle bouncing. In fact, let's do a little Qi scatter first. So you can imagine a bowling ball in this hand and a bowling ball in that hand. We're just going to push it to the sides. I tend to do this one with a slightly wider than hip width apart leg stance. You can go slightly wider, find what feels good. And it's just imagining any tension or tightness in the body, bringing a little twist in, lifting in the crown, and you're just imagining like throwing a bowling ball to either side, just releasing anything that you don't need with the exhale. Nice and soft in the shoulders, keeping the knees nice and straight. It's just the upper body, the torso that's moving. If it helps, visualize grey mist releasing with every breath. Lovely. So let's have a gentle bounce into the knees, gentle bounce again. Imagine the tailbone dipping down, just a gentle banging of the soles of the feet, the heels of the feet on the floor. For those that are seated, you can imagine bouncing into the tailbone. Really relax them wrists, let the fingers flex, and you can add a ha exhale. The sigh releases these stress, like hormones, that there's markers that show it relieves stress in the body. Just that audible sigh. It's the heart sound too. They say things weigh heavy on the heart. Our emotions can be held here. Just imagine it washing out the fingers, flicking away. Just gently soothing the system like we'd rock a baby. Let the shoulders drop. And you can scan your awareness internally as well. If there's any tension you're noticing, not holding anything in your gut or in your chest or anything, just imagine that releasing, just softening. Qigong's just an invitation, like yoga or any movement practice, to just come to greater awareness of our body, our state of being. So let's settle into our standard Wuji posture, which is our slightly bent knees, tailbones dipping down, the crown's lifting up. We've got our arms with a slight cupping of the palms, slightly rounded in the arms, slightly away from the body. We've got our chin slightly tucked and the crown lifting. And this is the point we bring the arms up. So remember, we do 3 postures and we do 3 flows. So we'll do the posture today. I'll talk you through each and then we'll go on to the flows. And you can touch the tongue to the roof of the mouth to connect the microcosmic orbits, which just links the energy, the governing and central channel, the meridians, these energy pathways through the front and back of the body. Just try it, find what feels good. Relaxing the shoulders. Slightly expanding, imagine a slight expansion in the palms, slight stretch like tautening a drum skin slightly, just to bring extra awareness to the fingers. And this also works with our wood channel, which is the fascia, the connective tissue of the body. So as we slightly stretch the fingers, the toes, we create more space in the body, in the connective tissue, for our energy, our blood, our breath to circulate through the body. For those standing, be aware of all 4 corners of the feet, standing in a nice balanced stance. And you can imagine, if your arms feel heavy, imagine your hands, imagine your shoulders, your wrists, like corks floating on water. Imagine a marionette string lifting the crown of the head. Feeling the firmness of the foundation of your legs, holding you upright. We call Wuji the still point. It's like the nothingness. And that's where the movement of the practice comes from. Standing with effortless effort. And the more I do this, the more I feel this. And if it helps to anchor the mind, you can imagine breathing green light into your liver area. The woods associated with green and with the liver. And with loving kindness, which offers the counterpoint to anger, which can be stored and housed in the liver, the Chinese medicine school of thought beliefs. So just breathe in some loving kindness, some compassion into yourself. Standing balanced, equally between heaven and earth, like a tree. 10 more seconds. We'll transition on to our holding the golden urn to the yang position, which is for our heart. So this is the one where we lift the hands, the fingers, that T point is kind of turning and looking as if looking in to the forehead and the third eye kind of area. So it's around the forehead kind of region for the height. The shoulder blades, they're not too close together, but they're not really wide apart. They're kind of just at the kind of width of your shoulders. I imagine as if the outer part of my hand is like a blade sweeping up slightly. That just opens up the meridians, the channels on the sides of the arms and the fascia. Again, it's like lifting the crown, top of the chin. Imagine that line of opposition between the tailbone and the crown. We're imagining holding a golden urn, a chalice, up to catch the sunlight. A gentle warmth washing through the palms of the hands, down to the heart. You can imagine it as a warm setting sun for those with heart conditions. You can imagine a softer, pinker light, gentle, that solar energy, that sunshine, that can be such a gift to the heart, especially in times of cloudier weather and things. You can bring the sunshine to yourself in different ways. Now when the arms get tired, you can bring them down, but the longer you hold it, the more adept your body will be with it. So find your comfort level and slightly extend, but never overextend, never going through a pain barrier. And it helps me to visualize these palms, these shoulders, these elbows, just like corks bobbing on water, as if they're being held up slightly. Just 15 more seconds. Imagine that warm light washing into your chalice that you're holding above your head, washing right the way down into the heart. This overflowing cup of energy, of sunlight. Final breath into the heart as we bring the arms now, same shoulder width apart. And this is golden urn. Turn to the yin position, which is connecting more to the earth and our foundation. So again, there's a slight sinking into the knees, dipping of the tailbone, lifting of the crown. And again, that slight cupping of the palms, so they're not fully straight, there's a slight cupping, as if you're holding a bowl and you've turned the bowl upside down. The elbows are soft, they're not overly extended, they're in a comfortable position. With these, we don't want to feel overstretched. We're just creating a bit more spaciousness. And becoming really aware of your legs and of your lower body, the chair or the earth beneath you. The earth, the yin, is associated with nurturing, with community, with nourishment. It's linked to the stomach and the spleen. So breathing in some nourishment, some awareness to your foundation. If it helps, you can imagine a yellow light, breathing a yellow light into your stomach and your spleen kind of area, the solar plexus area, just to bring the mind into the moment. You can bring awareness to different parts of your body, just noticing the lifting of the crown, the top of the chin, slight stretch in the palm. The standing postures help anchor the mind, the body, and to help create space for change, for flow. Final breath. And let's go into our flow sequence. So we started with our stand like a tree, and so we go to tree sways in the wind. And for this one we move from that inner hip, inner waist region. We lift the hands up the side of the body and the palms wash down. So again, we trace up the side body. When we reach the top, the palms that we've got, once they turn, the palms face down, come back to this position. Turn, lift, and release. Turn, lift, and release. This one lovely for emptying the mind field. You've got quite a busy mind, you've got lots going on. I find this really quietens my mind down. Yes, like a tree swaying in the wind, all the superfluous blown away. Final time to each side. Onto our cloudy hands. So we come to this position again, stand like a tree, and then we just drop one arm so it's facing the floor, one remains at this chest level, and I slightly widen my stance at this point. This is the one where we turn again from that qua point. We turn, we change arms, we rock back to the back leg, turn, change arms. So I imagine my hips going slightly backwards, then I turn the upper body as if it's on a pivot so it stays straight and upright. Arms change, shift the hips, turn from the waist level, change the hands, turn, change hands, hips, turn, change hands. So you can see it from the side. Turn, change hands, hips shift, so shift from one leg to the other, turn, change hands, or one sit bone to one sit bone. This one, cloudy hand, it's like mist on the morning waters. Mist rises, and one hand trails on the lake. Okay, and back to centre. And for our final one, pebble in the pond, one of my favourites. So in front of you, kind of solar plexus region, the stomach area of the body, and we breathe out, imagining pebble, casting a pebble to the water, and breathe in and out. This one reminds me a bit of breaststroke, but it's coming from this upper abdomen region. We scoop that water up, and then we cast ripples. So you'll notice I slightly keep the spine straight, but it looks slightly down as if I'm looking at a mirror reflection, and then breathe in. Final time. Resetting Wuji and drawing down the heavens. Purple light washes down. Settling, integrating, soothing again. Washes down the head, the chest, the spine, the hips, the legs. And imagine gathering golden light, purple light. Whatever resonates for you in this moment. Breathing in whatever quality of energy you most need now. and letting that settle through the body. Whatever quality of energy you need, heaven washes through the crown, through the body. Final time. And we'll bring them hands together to the abdomen. And bring the legs together, bamboo sways in the wind. It's like lift of the crown, tuck of the chin, relaxing the shoulders and just noticing how your body feels. Letting your breath land slow and deep in the body. The abdomen, the chest rising and falling. The crown as if lifted by a marionette string, relaxed, open, connected. And perhaps scanning the body now and just aware of where you are in body, mind, and breath. Before we take the legs slightly wider apart, trace up the right hand side of the abdomen and down the left. We bring it to a smaller and smaller circle. Final deep breath, we centre our practice in our core, that door of life level. And release with an audible sigh. Namaste. Thank you for joining us. Let us know how you're getting on with this new 5 elements practice, how you find it, how it feels in your system, and we'll see you again same time next week. Take care everyone. Namaste.